He said, quote, Mike, it's about trust. We've looked each other in the eye and we've made an agreement. And if a signed contract is what it takes to get something considerably done, then we've lost our way.
Yeah, that's the way things work in 2021. You want to just spit on your hand? Let's shake on it, pal. Bosom buddies. Besties. Until the next big deal comes along. This thing is, this is a lot of hype. And again, I've mentioned Nicole Auerbach, and maybe we'll get her on the show in a couple of days or so, but she's had a great sort of a line into this nonsense. It's about perception, and the perception is, well, we've created this monstrous coast-to-coast. Nothing. There's nothing in writing. There's nothing. You got nothing. You have nothing. And what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, so what? One day Ohio State's going to play what? USC in one of those big early season games? We already have that stuff going on around the world. I don't even understand what this is about. Other than it's a little bit of academic snobbery if you read between the lines.
No, it's definitely that.
They look down their nose at the SEC and the former Big 12.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they also have other athletic programs which they don't carry in the Southeastern Conference. That only friends and family show up for, but they have those in those conferences. So again, it's to me, it's like, who gives a flip? It means nothing.
It means something when you're able to shape the eventual outcome of the playoff.
Well,
That's what it means.
They definitely, again, they're going to give lip service, but these guys don't want it. And remember, guys, the Big Ten for years, before the terrible Big Ten commissioner now, who replaced another terrible one, Jim Delaney, he dragged his feet for a decade about a playoff. Remember, Carl?
Yeah.
So, and that is generally what their member schools feel about that, and apparently the ACC. I wish if I was Clemson, I'd call the SEC right now. Get me out of here. Get me over with you guys.
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of money to be made. I think this is about maneuvering as to how many schools will be involved and how do we make sure that our conferences are connected to that. You can't have a playoff with one ACC team or one Pac-12 team. I think that's really where this is going to go. I think we'll have it down the road, Mike. I just think they're going to help shape it now that they have this.
But the average SEC fan, or Clemson or anybody fan, of the schools who really take football seriously in the ACC. You look at this, Carl, and you say, okay, you got a bunch of top-heavy conferences. The Pac-12 hasn't been relevant for years. You're hoping that Oregon will get back on track, and USC as well. But let's be honest. You just laid it out there. You've got a bunch of conferences that are looking at the prospect of half of the playoff being filled by SEC teams if it goes to 12 teams.
Yeah, and they don't like that. That's what they don't like. And they're going to make sure that that's not going to happen. That's where this is. I think that's where this is going. The games are the games. We'll see how that plays. I'm with you on that. But I really think you've got ADs, commissioners, and presidents all saying the same thing from all of these conferences, which is why this has happened. More on this coming up, guys. It's Dukes and Bell at Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Turtle! That's Chris. Behind the glass, our engineer, Bo Morgan, executive producing. Let's hit some headlines.
Strap in, youngins. Hitting the headlines with Dukes and Bell.
Braves back at it tonight. 4.5 up in the East. I still feel great about our club. Again, whether it was the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Giants, win streak was going to come to an end at some point. But we need more hits. And Dansby said, listen, games like this, they're going to get us ready.
These games will continue to shape us for what's ahead. And, in order to be the best, you're going to beat the best. So we enjoy competing against the better teams in the league for sure.
So Ric Flair?
So saith Ric Flair. So here is the book of the Nature Boy. And Dansby, as Jeff Francoeur mentioned last night on Bally, a pitch that he may have tried to pull when he was struggling, especially when he was batting at the top of the order, but now just kind of goes with the flow and just drives that ball to the opposite field. Beautiful home run, and unfortunately, that was the offense, Carl, for the Braves. And then 7 guys left on base.
Well, so you didn't hit, and the 8th inning, Mike mentioned Edgar Santana and Jesse Chavez. You pitching was terrible, and the Yankees scored twice. If they don't, do we have a chance in the 8th and 9th? Yeah, we had some men on. Freddie was up. But when they extended the lead because of the bullpen right there with those guys, that was the ball game. But we were limited to 5 hits. We've been talking about how strong this offense has been. 5 hits is not going to get it done.
Just hate the fact that you start the 6th inning and Hanoa was going and he had a lot of juice. I told you he had all those strikeouts. He hits LeMahieu. He gets 2 outs and then he walks Gallo. And then Stanton just does what Stanton does. And in that case, just cranks it over to left field. And it's a shame because you should have had a chance to get out of that inning.
Let's hear from Mike Soroka, guys. He was on the broadcast last night. It was good to hear him with the guys there. This is from Bally Sports talking about his comeback.
So it was probably a sense of, said, failure and having to basically restart the process and feel like, you know, in some ways, physically at least, the last 9 months was kind of a waste. That was probably the worst part of it, you know, and getting over that and learning that I learned a lot about myself. You know, I got to learn a lot of other things while I was down the first time. And again, this process is not something I'd wish on somebody, but I know I'll be stronger from it.
So that's him talking to the media, right? At a press conference before he went up in the booth with the guys on TV.
Yeah, man. And he even